Dear students, welcome back to my class. So today we are continuing the previous class of systematics, and now we are discussing about the topic what is the difference between classical systematics and new systematics. So let's move. This is the difference between classical systematics and new systematics. The first one is about their creation. In the case of classical or traditional systematics, it believes that the species were generally produced by means of special creations. They do not say any mechanism about the reason, but means of special creation the species were formed in classical systematics. While the case of new systematics, they believe that the species were mainly produced by means of organic evolution. We know that the organic, you may be knowing that the Urey-Miller experiment. Urey-Miller experiment says that the life is originated from primitive chemical substances like ammonia, methane, etc. by means of various combinations, and from there the primitive life were originated like protobiont, then this prokaryotes, eukaryotes, and other higher organisms. So, by means of this view in new systematic, the species were produced by means of organic evolution, or by means of the species evolvement by means of chemical substances. Then the species were considered to be wholly separated and totally unrelated groups. Those organisms which is coming under one species are, or the species are considered to be, they are separated individuals and they are not related with each other. Okay, but in the case of new systematics, they believe that those organisms which is coming, those groups of organisms which is coming under one species are generally having genetic as well as evolutionary relationships. Okay, so in the classical systematic, they believe that the species are totally separated and unrelated groups, while in the case of new systematics, they believe that they have both genetic as well as evolutionary relationships. As most of the species are totally separated and unrelated groups, in the case of classical systematics, they do not have a common ancestry, which means they are not originated from a common ancestor. The new systematic says that as they are generally related by means of genetic as well as evolutionary point of view, most of the species are generally having a common ancestry. This is called as new systematics. Then the characters. The species characters are believed to be immutable. Immutable in the sense that they are not getting passed from one generation into next generation. Those characters which is possessed by one species will be lost when it becomes dead. Okay, in the case of new systematic, the species characters seems to be mutable, as they are genetically as well as evolutionarily related individuals. Most of their characters seems to be mutable, or it becomes passes from one generation to another generation. Then the classical systematics includes artificial as well as natural classification. In the case of new systematics, it includes phylogenetic classification, which means as they are related by means of genetic as well as evolutionary relationships, they generally having phylogenetic classification. Then the next view is that they generally uphold the concept of typological as well as morphological species, which means most of the species which is coming under a particular category are related with each other by means of their morphological characters. In the case of new systematics, they uphold the concept of polytypic species. Within the species itself, there will be subspecies, varieties, then races, etc. So this is the concept in new systematics. Then classical systematics also says that they are generally based upon the morphological consideration, as they are generally upholding the concept of morphological species. While the case of new systematics, they generally based upon the etiological, genetic, molecular, and physiological consideration by means of their genetic analysis like DNA, RNA, protein, and other macromolecules. Then molecular, the same thing by means of the molecular compounds which is present in one organism, and also different kinds of physiological processes or physiological system like circulatory system, digestive system, excretory system, reproductive system. If all these systems are together similar in one group, along with the genetic, molecular, and etiological characters, we can say that this will be the concept in new systematics. If an organism, if a particular species is having this similarity in between all these things, we can say that it is coming under one species. So this is the difference between classical systematics or traditional systematics and new or recently originated systematics. I hope you understood. If you have any doubt, please do in the comment section. Thank you.